Hello my friends, it's diys-by-dar, and I am going to make a monster box today with some old 70s monster magazines. I acquired this simple pine box from my parents. They were going to throw it out in the garbage, and it was exactly the size that I needed to put on the edge of my pool deck so I don't fall off of it. Falling off of it was once was enough for that situation. Inside, we just got a couple compartments where I'll be able to put my pool chemicals and different things from my pool on the edge of my deck. So pretty dirty. So I went ahead and I just got some pretty strong crud cutter, and I used a green scrubby, and I started to scrub on this, and I am going to go ahead and rinse it with just some clear water. Let's get it clean. Now the hinges, and of course, every one of these tiny little screws had to be stripped. The only way I know how to get these off is pop that hinge off until you can get to the screw itself. And then you have to take a pair of pliers and back each one out, and hopefully you don't get too many that break off. If they break off, your options are tap it down in further, and of course, cover all of these with some wood putty and sand them down with the rest of the project. Finally, out here in the Michigan weather, 28 degrees, you can see the snowflakes flying, and I knew sanding on this was going to be a real devil. If I would have had a choice, I would have used some stripper on it, but I couldn't because my other area, I now have my mother-in-law that lives with us. She needs to be taken care of. She has severe dementia, and I could not use any stripper in that area, and it is too cold outside to use any stripper. So I went ahead and I grabbed the orbital, and that was just the best way to go to get this off. When I got down to this spot, you can see that my sander is starting to kind of wobble around a little bit. And then I realized I had the foam pad on there. I had forgotten because it's been a while since I've used it, and I had the foam pad on there. So I really needed to take that off to give myself a little bit firmer of a base for sanding, and I'm sure that will make the difference in getting this sanded off. I'm getting ready to sand the side, so I'm going to take off the paper and I'm going to take off this foam pad. And you can see that it was pretty tough to get all these off, so probably partially the problem is my hands were really numb, and you can see that this foam pad, and I'll leave in the description where you can get these. It reminds me very much of the very expensive sander that you can get, and I am in the process of ordering a surf prep, and we'll see if it was worth it. And this is the first time I'm using my left hand with the power tool. It's been 3 months since I broke my left wrist. There's the one side completely done, and here is the last piece that I've got to take care of, and it has a real funky end on it where it looks like it's splintered and broke, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get. So the foam pad goes back on, and I'm going to go ahead and see what happens when I try to sand this. And it actually did come off quite easy, but there was quite a bit of the material missing, so it was kind of a little bit of a change in the shape, but hey, I got the box for free. And then you can see I can kind of work that around that edge because it was straight and then it had a little bit of a round curve on it. And it actually did work quite well. I got it off, but a lot of the wood material was missing, so there was a little bit of a change in the shape on that end, but that's okay. Here we go. The box is completely clean. Well, not completely. There were some areas that stain was just in there so deep that I really couldn't get it out without changing the shape of the wood much more. So I called it good and just kind of left it there. So I am ready to move onward. The bottom of the box and the inside of the box, I really didn't see any reason to strip it, so I used some of Dixie Belle's No Pain Gel Stain, which is an oil-based stain, and this is in the cherry, and it really worked well with the color. The color match was good. Now when you do something like this and you're just going to go over and give it a little refresh on this particular piece, you have to be really careful when you get around them edges, because if you get any of that stain up on your new wood that you just sanded, well then you've got a problem. You have to go back and resand it again, so be careful. The inside of the box, I left that as well. That would have been really difficult to sand, so I just gave that a little refresh with the same stain. Now I'm going to mix up some colors. I just wanted to kind of stain this wood, so I used some Dixie Belle Voodoo stain, Up in Smoke, water-based stain, and then some Dixie Belle chalk paint in cotton. I did 50-50 on both of them. You can see it's quite watery, and that was what I was going to use. I'm going to start with the white, and once again I'm going to tell you, be careful. You get some of that on the other side, just even a little bit, it's going to change that color, and then you're going to have to sand that around on the other side. So watch your top, watch your corners for any drips, and just lay yourself down a nice even layer. And since this wood is just raw and open, it just pretty much sucks right in there pretty quick. I just used some paper towel, and I'm going to go ahead and wipe that layer off. It looked good, but it wasn't as white as I wanted it to be. So everything needed 2 coats of my thin whitewash. Here is the side, and I had 2 coats of white on it, and I had 1 coat of the gray on it, and here's my second coat of gray that I'm putting on. It just didn't have enough definition with my gray streaks in there, so we're going round 2 with gray all over everything again. letting it sit on there a little bit before I wipe it off, because this is going to be my final wash. So let's get that paper towel ready, and hopefully it'll be what I want. That's looking a little bit more the color that I was trying to get to. Now it's time to seal this, and I use some Dixie Belle top coat in flat. And another reason to do this first is I have seen in my 60 years people that have tried to put wallpaper or floor tiles down without having their surface sealed or leaving it very porous. Your glue is going to suck right out of that, and it may stick initially, but maybe a week, a year, it's going to fall off or come up. So you need to make sure that it is sealed before you try to put anything down. My monster books, donated by my husband. I couldn't sell them on eBay for 10 bucks, so this is what I did with them. I cut them up, and I'm going to use wallpaper paste. I saw this on somebody else's tutorial. They were using wrapping paper and they used wallpaper paste. And I thought, well, why not? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try this wallpaper paste. So I went ahead and tried a very thin coat, spread out very carefully. I did not want any of the paste to get on the front side of that. Set it down and see what happens. It actually went down really nice. I didn't have that many wrinkles or bubbles in it. I took a clear piece of what you use like for a notebook and a spreader, and I just went ahead and pushed it down, squeezed any of the glue out to the edge if there was any excess glue in there, locking it into place. And that clear piece really worked well. I carefully removed it, and if there was any glue that I did get around there, I went and cleaned that glue up first. I didn't want any excess glue because I was going to have to seal this over the top, and I didn't want big chunks of glue in there. So that's how it works. Let's get the whole box done. A lot of pictures to go on there, and there it is. My debut to Mr. Frankenstein. So far so good. All I need is my top coats and my hinges. And this monster box is complete. I used the same clear coat with the same sponge, and I went in both directions, and I actually did put 3 coats over everything.